You feel it, the heaviness, the hesitation, the quiet fear that you're not enough. But weakness is not a curse, it's a call to rise, to train, to master what others flee from. I was not born strong, I became strong through discipline, detachment, and war with myself. You will too, if you stop running from the pain and begin sharpening your mind. Weakness doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're being summoned to evolve. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to. Master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for these words carry the weight of blood and steel of countless battles, fought not just with swords but with the demons that live in every warrior's heart. You feel weak, inadequate. Perhaps you look in the mirror and see someone who falls short of your own expectations. Good. This feeling you hate so much, this weakness that haunts you, is the first sign that you are finally awake. I won battles not because I was born strong, but because I understood something that most warriors never grasp. True strength begins in the moment you fully face your weakness, not with excuses, not with shame, but with the clear eyes of a warrior who knows that every master was once a beginner who refused to remain weak. When I fought my first duel at 13, do you think I felt ready? Do you think my hands didn't shake as I gripped the wooden sword? But that trembling was not my weakness. It was my body acknowledging the magnitude of what I was about to become. Most men spend their lives running from this feeling. They numb it with pleasure, hide it behind false confidence, or bury it under endless excuses. And so, they remain weak, forever circling the same mountain they fear to climb. But you are different. You are here because something in you refuses to accept mediocrity. That pain you feel when you confront your limitations, that is not your enemy. That is the first knock of destiny on your door. I became who I am not by avoiding weakness, but by turning toward it with the same intensity that a swordsman turns toward his opponent. Every limitation I faced became a teacher. Every failure pointed the way to a new skill I needed to master. Think of the sword. When it is first forged, it is ugly, imperfect, full of flaws. But the master swordsmith does not despise these flaws. He seeks them out. Each imperfection shows him exactly where to strike, where to apply the fire, where to bend and fold the steel, until those very flaws become the patterns that make the blade unstoppable. You are that sword. Your weaknesses are not accidents. They are arrows pointing directly at your next evolution. But you must stop running, stop hiding, stop pretending. Face your weakness with the eyes of a warrior. Study it, understand it, then attack it with the relentless precision of someone who knows that every master was once a student who refused to stay weak. This is how it begins, not with some grand victory, but with the quiet courage to look at yourself without flinching and say, "Here, this is where I must grow stronger." I have watched thousands of warriors train. The ones who fail are those who see weakness as shame. The ones who succeed are those who see weakness as a map, each flaw revealing the exact path they must take to become unstoppable. Remember this, in all my years of battle, I never met a truly strong man who hadn't first intimately known weakness. It was their response to that weakness that defined them. The ones who tried to hide it remained weak. The ones who faced it became legends. You stand now at this same crossroads. Will you continue to run from your weakness, or will you turn and face it with the courage of a warrior? Will you let it define you, or will you use it to forge yourself into something greater? Your weakness is not your curse. It is your first teacher. Every time you feel inadequate, every time you fall short, every time you face that gap between who you are and who you could be, that is not failure. That is your invitation to greatness. The path of the warrior begins here, in this moment. With this truth, your weakness is not your destiny. It is your door. Walk through it. Face what you fear. Embrace what you avoid. For in doing so, you will discover what every true warrior knows. Strength is not the absence of weakness, but the courage to face it, learn from it, and transform it into power. Rise now. Your weakness awaits its first lesson. Listen to me carefully, for what I am about to tell you goes against everything the weak-minded masses believe about strength. They wait for motivation like beggars waiting for scraps. But I will teach you to feast on something far more powerful: unwavering discipline. Do you think I felt motivated every morning when I rose before dawn to practice with the sword? Do you imagine I always burned with passion when I stood in the cold rain, repeating the same cut thousands of times until my arms shook with exhaustion? This obsession with motivation is the disease of our time. Everyone wants to feel ready. Everyone wants to feel inspired. Everyone waits for the perfect moment when their heart fills with fire and their spirit soars with unstoppable drive. And so they wait and grow weaker with each passing day. Let me tell you what I learned in 60 years of swordsmanship. Motivation is like morning dew. It looks beautiful at dawn, but vanishes with the first touch of sun. If you build your strength on motivation, you build your house on mist. True power comes not from feeling motivated, but from acting without the need for motivation at all. When I trained, I did not ask myself if I felt inspired. I did not consult my emotions or wait for the right mood. I simply moved, cut, practiced, refined, day after day, year after year, with the consistency of the rising sun. This is the secret that separates warriors from dreamers. The warrior does not need to feel good to act good. The warrior does not need to feel strong to be strong. The warrior simply acts, regardless of feeling, because discipline transcends emotion. You say you don't feel motivated to train today? Good. Train anyway. You don't feel inspired to face your challenges? Excellent. Face them anyway. You don't feel ready to take the next step? Perfect. Step anyway. This is how you forge real strength, not through the fleeting fire of motivation, but through the cold iron of discipline. Discipline is the choice to act not because you want to, but because you know you must. It is the decision to align your actions not with your feelings, but with your commitments. When I fought my duels, do you think I felt motivated in every moment? There were times when fear gripped my heart, when doubt clouded my mind, when every instinct screamed for retreat. But I had built something stronger than motivation. I had built discipline. And discipline carried me through when motivation failed. Here is what you must understand. The body cares nothing for your motivation. The sword cares nothing for your feelings. Reality cares nothing for whether you feel inspired or not. The only thing that matters is what you do consistently, day after day, regardless of your emotional state. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop making your actions dependent on your emotions. This is the path of weakness, and it leads nowhere but to more weakness. Instead, build discipline. Make your commitments stronger than your feelings. Let your word to yourself become unbreakable, regardless of what emotions flow through you. This is the path of the warrior. When you wake tomorrow, do not ask yourself if you feel motivated. Ask yourself what needs to be done, then do it. When you face a challenge, do not wait for inspiration. Move forward with the cold certainty of discipline. Remember, motivation is a fair-weather friend who abandons you in your darkest moments. Discipline is the loyal warrior who carries you through every battle, whether you feel like fighting or not. Choose discipline over motivation. Choose consistency over intensity. Choose the unwavering path over the emotional one. For in this choice lies the difference between the warrior and the dreamer, between the master and the eternal beginner. Your strength must be built on foundations deeper than feeling. Build it on discipline, and it will never fail you. There is a lie that holds more warriors back than any sword ever could, the belief that you must feel ready before you act. Listen closely, for this truth may save your life. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. When I faced my first real battle, do you think I felt ready? When I stood before opponents twice my age with decades more experience, do you think I felt prepared? I did not. But I understood something. that you must now grasp. The feeling of readiness is a luxury that warriors cannot afford to wait for. Those who wait to feel ready waste their lives in preparation. They study endlessly, but never fight. They plan ceaselessly, but never move. They dream constantly, but never wake to action. And in this waiting, they forge the strongest chains of all, the chains of their own hesitation. Let me tell you what I learned in my first duel to the death, the moment of perfect. Readiness never arrives. It is a phantom, a mirage that keeps you trapped in the comfort of preparation while life passes you by. The truth is, you will never feel fully ready for the moments that matter most. Your heart will race, your hands will shake, your mind will fill with doubt. These are not signs that you are not ready. These are signs that you are alive, that you are growing, that you are pushing against the boundaries of your current self. Think of the cherry blossom. Does it wait until it feels ready to bloom? Does it wait for perfect conditions, for the ideal moment, for some internal sense of preparation? No. It blooms because it is time to bloom, whether the winds are gentle or fierce, whether the sky is clear or dark with storms. You must become like the cherry blossom. Your time to act is not when you feel ready, but when action is needed. Your time to move is not when doubt has vanished, but when opportunity appears. Your time to strike is not when victory is certain, but when the path is clear. I have watched countless warriors fall not to superior skill, but to their own hesitation. They waited for certainty that never came. They waited for confidence that could only be forged in combat. They waited for readiness that could only be found in action. Here is the paradox that every warrior must embrace. True readiness comes only through action. The very steps you avoid taking are the ones that would make you ready. The very challenges you wait to face are the ones that would prepare you. When I teach young warriors, their first question is always the same: how will I know when I'm ready? And my answer is always the same: you won't, and that is precisely when you must act. This is not recklessness. This is not charging blindly into battle without skill or strategy. This is understanding that readiness is not a feeling to wait for, but a state to step into. It is recognizing that the gap between who you are and who you must become can only be crossed through action. The warrior's path is not about waiting until fear disappears. It is about acting in the presence of fear. It is not about waiting until confusion clears. It is about moving forward in the midst of confusion. It is not about waiting until you feel powerful. It is about acting in ways that create power. Remember this: every master you admire, every warrior you respect, every leader you wish to emulate, they all began before they felt ready. They all stepped forward while others waited. They all chose action over endless preparation. Your doubt is not your enemy. Your uncertainty is not your weakness. They are simply the thoughts and feelings that accompany growth. Let them be present, but do not let them rule you. Let them exist, but do not let them stop you. The time to act is now. Not when you feel ready, not when you feel certain, not when you feel powerful. Now, in this moment, with whatever skills you have, with whatever strength you possess, with whatever resources you command. For in this very moment, as you hesitate and wait for readiness, life is passing. Opportunities are fading. Growth is being postponed. And the warrior you could become is waiting on the other side of action. Rise now. Move now. Strike now. For readiness is not a feeling to wait for. It is a decision to make in this very moment. Listen now to a truth that most will never understand. The pain you run from is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher, waiting to transform you into something far beyond what comfort could ever create. I have watched countless warriors try to avoid pain, to hide from it, to numb it with pleasures and distractions. But those who truly become strong are those who learn to turn toward their pain with the same intensity that a sword turns toward its target. Your pain is not a mistake. Your struggles are not accidents. Your hardships are not punishments. They are the forge in which your strength is created. the fire in which your spirit is tempered, the resistance against which your power grows. When I was young, I too tried to escape pain. I saw it as weakness, as something to be eliminated. But as I faced death in battle after battle, I learned something profound. Pain is not the opposite of strength. It is the source of it. Think of how a sword is forged. Does the metal complain about the heat of the forge? Does it resist the hammer's blow? Does it try to escape the grinding stone? No. It surrenders to these forces, and through them becomes something far greater than it was before. You must become like that sword. When pain comes, whether it is physical, emotional, or spiritual, do not run from it. Do not hide it. Do not try to numb it. Instead, turn toward it with the curiosity of a warrior who knows that within every pain lies a lesson. Within every struggle lies a strength waiting to be discovered. I have seen warriors break not because their pain was too great, but because they spent all their energy trying to avoid it. They built walls against it, created distractions from it, developed complex strategies to deny it. And in doing so, they locked away not just their pain, but their power. Here is what you must understand. The pain you feel is not separate from your strength. It is the raw material from which your strength is forged. Every rejection you've faced, every failure you've endured, every loss you've suffered, these are not your weaknesses. They are your weapons waiting to be sharpened. When you feel the ache of loneliness, do not seek endless company. When you feel the burn of failure, do not seek empty comfort. When you feel the weight of doubt, do not seek false certainty. Instead, ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? What strength is it trying to forge in me? What power is it trying to awaken? I have watched warriors transform when they finally grasp this truth. The pain they had been running from becomes the fire that forges their resolve. The struggles they had been hiding from become the resistance that builds their strength. The hardships they had been avoiding become the teachers that reveal their power. Remember, pain is not your enemy. Pain is your ally in the forge of transformation. It is the resistance against which your spirit grows stronger. It is the pressure under which your character becomes unbreakable. It is the fire through which your true self emerges. But this transformation cannot happen if you keep running. It cannot occur if you keep hiding. It cannot unfold if you keep numbing yourself to life's deeper currents. You must turn toward your pain with the same courage with which a warrior turns toward battle. This is not about seeking suffering. It is about understanding that the pain you already carry is not a burden to be eliminated, but a force to be harnessed. It is about recognizing that your wounds are not your weakness. They are the cracks through which your light shines brightest. The next time pain arrives, and it will arrive, do not ask how to make it stop. Ask what it is trying to forge in you. Do not seek escape. Seek understanding. Do not run from the fire. Step into it with the knowledge that on the other side lies a strength you cannot yet imagine. For in this acceptance, in this turning toward, rather than away, you will discover what every true warrior knows. The pain you hide is the power you waste, but the pain you face becomes the power you wield. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for this truth has won more battles than any sword. Your mind is the ultimate weapon. All other weapons are merely extensions of its will, channels for its power, tools for its purpose. When I won my first duel at 13, it was not my technique that brought victory. It was not my strength nor my speed. It was the clarity of my mind, a clarity that cut through fear, through doubt, through the chaos of combat like a blade through morning mist. Most warriors focus endless hours on physical training while leaving their minds dull and untamed. They sharpen their blades, but let their thoughts remain cluttered. They strengthen their bodies, but allow their minds to wander like leaves in the wind. This is why they fail when true challenges arise. Your mind must become like the surface of an undisturbed pool, so still it reflects reality perfectly, so clear it sees through all deception, so deep it cannot be disturbed by the trivial winds of circumstance. This is not a metaphor. This is the difference between life and death in battle, between success and failure in all endeavors. How do you forge such a mind? Not through endless thinking, not through accumulating more knowledge, not through filling yourself with others' opinions. No, you forge it through ruthless elimination of the unnecessary, through persistent refinement of your attention, through daily practice in the art of mental clarity. When I prepared for battle, I would sit in silence for hours, watching my thoughts like a swordsman watches his opponent's movements. Every stray thought, every wandering anxiety, every unnecessary concern, these were not just distractions. They were weaknesses waiting to be exploited by my enemies. You must develop this same warrior's attention. When fear arises, do not fight it. Observe it with perfect clarity until you see its true nature. When doubt clouds your mind, do not resist it. Examine it with unwavering focus until you understand its source. When confusion strikes, do not panic. Study it with patient intensity until the path becomes clear. Your thoughts are like your opponents in battle. Some charge straight at you, demanding immediate attention. Others circle subtly, waiting to strike when you're distracted. Some are obvious threats, while others wear the mask of friends. You must learn to see them all clearly, to understand their patterns, to master their rhythms. This is why I spent as much time in meditation as I did in sword practice. A sharp blade in an unfocused mind is more dangerous to its wielder than to the enemy. But a focused mind can turn even the simplest tool into a deadly weapon. Remember this: in any battle, external or internal, the warrior who maintains mental clarity while others lose themselves in emotion will always prevail. The one whose mind remains sharp while others become dull with fear or anger will always find the path to victory. Begin today. Start with 5 minutes of absolute stillness. No phone, no distractions, no escape. Just you, watching your mind with the same intensity you would watch an opponent in combat. Notice how it tries to distract you. Notice how it attempts to escape this discipline. Notice how it resists this training. Then extend this practice into every moment of your day. When you eat, eat with full attention. When you walk, walk with complete awareness. When you speak, speak with perfect clarity. When you listen, listen with undivided focus. This is not just meditation. This is warrior's mind training. Your mind is like a sword. It must be sharpened daily, polished regularly, and tested constantly. A single day of neglect begins its decline. A single moment of carelessness can dull its edge. But consistent care, regular practice, and unwavering discipline will make it sharper than any physical blade. The battles you face today may not be fought with swords, but they require the same mental clarity that guided warriors through countless conflicts. Your challenges may not be life and death, but they demand the same unwavering focus that determined victory or defeat on ancient battlefields. Sharpen your mind until it cuts through confusion like a blade through paper. Polish your awareness until it reflects reality without distortion. Test your mental clarity against increasingly difficult challenges, for in this practice you forge not just a weapon, but the master who wields it. Remember, a dull mind will fail you no matter how strong your body, how sharp your sword, or how pure your intentions. But a mind honed to perfect clarity will find the path to victory even in the darkest night, the fiercest storm, the most impossible circumstance. Your mind is your ultimate weapon. Sharpen it accordingly. Listen well to what I am about to tell you, for this truth has been paid for with blood. Comfort is a poison that kills slowly, quietly, and with the victim's willing cooperation. It is the deadliest enemy of greatness, for it comes disguised as reward but acts as a trap. I have watched countless warriors fall not to their enemies, but to their own comfort. They train until they become good, then they stop. They fight until they win a few victories, then they rest. They push until they gain some skill, then they settle. And in this settling, in this embrace of comfort, they plant the seeds of their own defeat. Do you think I became who I am by training only when conditions were perfect? Do you imagine I practiced only when I felt energized, only when the weather was fair, only when my body didn't ache? No, I sought out discomfort like a hunter seeks prey, for I understood what you must now learn. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Think of the trees that grow on mountain tops, battered by fierce winds and brutal storms. Their wood is stronger than that of their valley cousins who grow in comfort. Their roots dig deeper, their branches grow tougher. It is their very struggle against the elements that makes them unbreakable. You must become like those trees. Seek out the conditions that others avoid. Train when others rest. Push when others retreat. Strike when others hesitate. For it is only in the embrace of discomfort that true strength is forged. When I trained young warriors, the first lesson was always the same. Make yourself uncomfortable. Sleep on hard ground when you have a soft bed available. Train in the rain when you could. Wait for sunshine. Run in the cold when you could stay by the fire. Not because comfort is evil, but because comfort is a cage that keeps you trapped at your current level. Your body will resist this teaching. Your mind will create endless excuses. Your friends will call you crazy. Good. These are signs that you are on the right path. For the path to mastery is never comfortable, never easy, never popular. Here is what most fail to understand. Discomfort is not something to be endured until you can return to comfort. Discomfort is the very force that transforms you. Like the heat that transforms raw metal into a sword, like the pressure that transforms coal into diamonds, discomfort is the element that transforms an ordinary person into a warrior. When you feel the burn in your muscles, the ache in your lungs, the protest of your mind, these are not warnings to stop. These are signs that transformation is happening. These are indicators that you are breaking through your previous limitations. But remember, this is not about seeking pain for pain's sake. This is not about purposeless suffering. This is about understanding that every comfort you cling to becomes a chain that binds you to mediocrity. Every discomfort you willingly embrace becomes a key that unlocks new levels of strength. Start small, but start today. Take cold showers when you want warm ones. Work out when you want to rest. Wake up early when you want to sleep in. Speak up when you want to stay silent. Face what you want to avoid. Do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Make discomfort your ally. Make it your teacher. Make it your daily practice. For in this willing embrace of challenge, in this conscious choice to leave comfort behind, you forge the strength that comfort seekers will never know. The warrior's path is not about reaching a place of permanent comfort. It is about becoming comfortable with discomfort, familiar with challenge at home in the midst of chaos. For it is only there, beyond the borders of comfort, that true growth occurs. Remember, every master you admire, every warrior you respect, every leader you wish to emulate, they all chose discomfort when comfort was available. They all pushed beyond the easy path. They all understood that greatness lives on the other side of comfort. Your comfort zone is not your friend, it is your prison. Break free from it daily, and you will find strength you never knew you had. Listen with absolute attention, for what I am about to share cuts deeper than any blade. The most dangerous opponent you will ever face is not external. It is the web of lies you tell yourself. These self-deceptions are more lethal than any sword, for they kill your potential before you ever step onto the battlefield. I have watched warriors with great skill fall not to superior opponents, but to their own self-deception. I am not ready yet. The conditions aren't perfect. I need more preparation. Someone else will do it. Tomorrow will be better. These are not mere thoughts. They are the invisible chains that bind you to mediocrity. When I began my path as a swordsman, I too was wrapped in lies. I told myself that my youth was a disadvantage, that my unconventional techniques needed more refinement, that certain opponents were beyond my reach. But with each victory, I cut through these lies like paper screens, revealing the truth behind them. They were nothing but elaborate excuses dressed in the robes of wisdom. Here is the first truth you must grasp. Your mind is both a magnificent ally and a masterful deceiver. It will create the most believable stories, the most reasonable-sounding excuses, the most compelling justifications, all in service of keeping you safe, comfortable, and exactly where you are. These lies come in many forms. Some are obvious. I can't. It's impossible. I'm not good enough. These are the foot soldiers of self-deception, easily spotted, easily defeated. But others are more subtle, more dangerous. I'm just being realistic. I'm being prudent. I'm waiting for the right time. These are the master swordsmen of self-deception. They wear the armor of wisdom, but serve the cause of fear. You must become ruthless in cutting through these lies. When you hear yourself say, I can't, stop and ask, is this truth or is this fear speaking? When you think, I'm not ready, pause and examine. Is this wisdom or is this my mind creating an escape? Root? When you believe it's not the right time, challenge yourself. Is this patience or is this procrastination? This is why I spent hours in meditation before and after every battle. Not for peace, not for calm, but for clarity, the ruthless clarity that cuts through self-deception like a blade through fog. In that silence, when all external voices fade, you can finally hear the lies you tell yourself, see the excuses for what they are, recognize the self-imposed limitations that hold you back. But hearing the lies is not enough. You must cut them down. And like any opponent, they will not fall easily. They will fight back. They will resurrect themselves in new forms. They will try to convince you that they are protecting you, serving you, helping you. This is why the warrior's path requires not just strength of arm, but strength of truth. Start with the small lies, the just this once that becomes every time, the 5 more minutes that becomes an hour, the I'll start tomorrow that becomes never. Cut through these first, for they are the breeding ground of larger deceptions. Then move to the deeper lies, the stories about who you are and what you're capable of, the narratives about your limitations and your flaws, the beliefs about what is and isn't possible for you. These are the fortress walls of self-deception. They will not fall easily, but fall they must. Remember this, every time you tell yourself a lie, you forge a chain that binds you. Every time you accept a false limitation, you build a wall that imprisons you. Every time you believe an excuse, you sharpen a blade that cuts not your enemies, but your own potential. The warrior's path demands absolute honesty, first with yourself, then with the world. You must learn to recognize the taste of truth and the bitter flavor of self-deception. You must develop an allergic reaction to your own lies so that even the smallest untruth sets off internal alarms. Begin now. Take out your excuses like scrolls and rid them in the harsh light of truth. Examine your limitations like opponents and test their reality. Question your beliefs like suspicious allies and verify their loyalty to your growth. For in this practice of ruthless self-honesty, you forge something more valuable than any weapon. You forge an unshakable foundation of truth. And from this foundation, no challenge is too great, no opponent too fierce, no goal too distant. The lies you tell yourself are not protecting you, they are imprisoning you. Cut them down, and in their collapse, you will find a freedom and power that no external victory could ever provide. Hear me well, for this truth may be the hardest to accept, yet the most crucial to embrace. The path of the warrior is often walked alone. The crowd will not understand you. The masses will not support you. And this solitude is not your curse. It is your advantage. I learned this truth early in my journey when my methods were questioned, my approach criticized, my victories dismissed. The crowd always demands conformity, always pushes for the familiar, always resists what it does not understand. But true strength, true mastery, true honor, these are not found in the approval of others. You must understand this deeply. The crowd's approval is like morning dew, present for a moment, gone with the first ray of sun. Their understanding is like a shallow stream, quick to change course, unable to hold anything of depth. Their support is like a fair-weather friend, present in victory, absent in struggle. When I developed my two-sword technique, do you think the traditional schools approved? When I chose to study the way of strategy over mere technique, do you think the conventional masters understood? No. But I did not seek their approval. I sought truth. I did not chase their understanding. I pursued mastery. This is the first test of the warrior's resolve. Can you stand alone? Can you hold your course when others mock your path? Can you maintain your dignity when the crowd calls for you to lower yourself to their level? Can you keep your honor when dishonor would bring easy rewards? Honor is not found in the crowd's approval. It is found in the quiet moments when you choose right over easy, truth over comfort, growth over acceptance. It is found in the solitary hours when you train while others rest, study while others play, persist while others quit. But understand this, standing alone does not mean standing against. The true warrior does not seek conflict with the crowd. He simply refuses to let their limitations become his own. He does not fight their path. He simply walks his own with unwavering resolve. This solitude will test you. There will be moments when the weight of walking alone feels unbearable, when the whispers of doubt grow loud in the quiet, when the temptation to rejoin the comfortable crowd pulls at your heart. These moments are not your weakness. They are your proving ground. Aye. These moments, remember, every master was once alone in their vision. Every pioneer was once solitary in their path. Every legend was once singular in their resolve. The crowd did not understand them either until suddenly they did. But by then, the true warrior had already moved beyond seeking understanding. Your honor must become your companion in this solitude. Not honor as the world defines it, not the superficial codes of conduct that change with fashion, but the deep, unshakable honor of one who knows their path and walks it regardless of witnesses or approval. This honor is simple, but not easy. Do what you say you will do. Keep your word, especially to yourself. Face what others flee from. Speak truth, even when lies would serve you better. Hold to your principles, even when breaking them would bring reward. Stand for what you know is right, even when you stand alone. The crowd may call this foolish. They may label it proud or stubborn or naive. Good. Their misunderstanding is your protection. It creates the space in which you can grow beyond their limitations. But remember, you do not walk alone to prove something to others. You do not stand apart to show your superiority. You walk this solitary path because it is yours, because it calls to you, because your warrior's heart knows it is true. Your solitude is your strength. Your separation from the crowd is your opportunity for growth. Your willingness to stand alone is your path to mastery. Embrace this. Welcome it. Use it, for in this solitude you will find something greater than the crowd's approval. You will find your true power, your true purpose, your true path. And walking this path with honor will bring you a satisfaction deeper than any praise, any acceptance, any understanding from others could provide. Stand alone with honor. Walk your path with dignity. Keep your word with unwavering resolve. For in this solitary strength, you forge something the crowd can never give you and can never take away. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, for this truth will shatter the chains you have placed upon yourself. You are not broken. You are not damaged. You are not wounded beyond repair. You are simply undisciplined, and this is a condition that can be corrected through relentless practice. I have watched countless warriors cripple themselves with the story of their brokenness. They wear their wounds like armor, their traumas like badges of honor, their past failures like unbreakable chains. They say, I am this way because of what happened to me. I say, you are this way because of what you continue to allow. When I was young, I too carried wounds. I too had failures that haunted me. I too had moments that could have become excuses for weakness. But I understood something that you must now grasp. A sword may be notched, may be scratched, may even be broken, but in the hands of a master swordsmith, it can be reforged stronger than before. You must become both the sword and the swordsmith. Yes, you have been struck. Yes, you have been tempered by fire. Yes, you have been bent and sometimes broken by life's battles. But these are not your destiny. They are merely the raw materials from which you must forge your strength. The difference between a warrior and a victim lies not in what has happened to them, but in what they do with what has happened to them. The victim says, "I am broken." The warrior says, "I am being forged." The victim says, "I cannot." The warrior says, "I will learn." The victim says, "This is who I am." The warrior says, "This is who I am becoming." Discipline is your path out of this self-imposed prison. Not motivation, not inspiration, not therapy, not endless analysis of your past. Discipline, the daily choice to act in spite of how you feel. The regular practice of pushing beyond what is comfortable. The consistent decision to keep your word to yourself. When you wake each morning, do not ask, "What wounds do I carry?" Ask instead, "What disciplines will I practice today?" When you face a challenge, do not say, "I am too damaged for this." Say instead, "This is where I will forge my strength." When you fail, do not declare, "This proves I am broken." Declare instead, "This shows me where I must develop discipline." Your past experiences are not your prison bars. They are your training grounds. Your emotional wounds are not your excuses. They are your opportunities for developing unprecedented strength. Your failures are not your identity. They are your lessons in where you need more discipline. I have seen warriors transform themselves through this understanding. Those who claimed they were too anxious became masters of calm through the discipline of meditation. Those who believed they were too weak became powerful through the discipline of regular training. Those who thought they were too damaged became whole through the discipline of daily practice. But understand this: discipline is not punishment. It is not self-hatred disguised as practice. It is the highest form of self-respect, the daily declaration that you are worth the effort of becoming stronger. It is the ultimate self-love, the consistent choice to build yourself up rather than tear yourself down. Begin with small disciplines. Keep your word to yourself in tiny matters. Make your bed each morning, train at the appointed time, speak truth when lies would be easier. Complete what you start. These small victories lay the foundation for larger transformations. Then increase. The challenge: face what you fear, not all at once, but step by step through disciplined practice. Transform what you avoid into what you confront. Convert what weakens you into what strengthens you, not through grand gestures or dramatic changes, but through consistent, disciplined action. Remember this: every master you admire, every warrior you respect, every leader you wish to emulate, they all faced their own battles, carried their own scars, confronted their own demons. What set them apart was not an absence of damage, but a presence of discipline. You are not broken. You are not damaged beyond repair. You are not destined to remain as you are. You are simply at the beginning of your transformation, a transformation that will occur not through wishful thinking or self-pity, but through the patient, persistent application of discipline. The path before you is clear. Stop telling the story of how broken you are and start building the discipline that will make you unbreakable. Stop focusing on what happened to you and start focusing on what you will do about it. Stop waiting to be fixed and start practicing the disciplines that will forge you into something stronger than you have ever been. Your wounds are not your identity. Your past is not your destiny. Your struggles are not your excuses. They are simply the field upon which you will practice the disciplines that will transform you from who you are into who you must become. Listen with every fiber of your being, for this truth holds the power to transform your entire existence. Your identity is not discovered, it is decided. It is not found, it is forged. It is not given, it is claimed through deliberate action and unwavering resolve. I have watched countless warriors wait for their true self to emerge, as if identity were a flower that blooms on its own. They say, "I'm trying to find myself," when they should be saying, "I'm deciding who I will become." They ask, "Who am I?" when they should be declaring, "This is who I will be." When I took up the sword at 13, do you think I knew who I was? No, I knew who I had decided to become. Every morning, every practice, every battle was not an expression of who I was. It was a step toward who I had chosen to be. This is the warrior's way. We do not wait for identity to find us. We forge it in the fires of our choices. Understand this deeply. Every action you take is not just a task completed. It is a vote for who you will become. Every practice you complete is not just a skill improved. It is a brick in the foundation of your chosen identity. Every challenge you face is not just a test of your current ability. It is an opportunity to prove who you are becoming. But this decision must be total. Half measures create half-formed identities. Partial commitments produce fragmented selves. You cannot decide to become a warrior only when it's convenient, only when you feel strong, only when others are watching. The decision must penetrate every moment, every choice, every breath. When I developed my two-sword technique, many said it was impossible, that it went against tradition, that it couldn't be done. But their doubts were irrelevant. I had already decided who I would become. Their disbelief could not shake my chosen identity. Their limitations could not contain my decided destiny. This is where most fail. They try to become without deciding. They attempt to transform without making the fundamental choice that drives all other choices. They want the results of a warrior's identity without making the warrior's decision. Your decision must be clear. This is who I am becoming, not this is who I might become, not this is who I hope to become, not this is who I'll become when conditions are perfect. But this is who I am becoming. Present tense, active voice, absolute certainty. Then every moment becomes a chance to reinforce this decision. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to prove it. Every setback becomes a platform to declare it again, stronger than before. You are not failing when you fall short. You are practicing becoming who you've decided to be. But remember, this decision is not about perfection. It's not about reaching some final state of completion. The warrior's identity is not a destination. It is a path, a practice, a daily recommitment to who you are becoming. When you wake each morning, decide again. When you face difficulty, decide again. When you fail, decide again. When others doubt you, decide again. This constant renewal of your decision is not weakness. It is the ultimate strength. It is the forge in which your chosen identity is hammered into unshakable reality. Your past does not decide who you become. Your decisions do. Your circumstances do not determine your identity. Your choices do. Your feelings do not shape who you are. Your actions do. And every action stems from the fundamental decision of who you are becoming. Begin now. Make the decision that will shape all other decisions. Don't wait for more clarity. Decide and clarity will follow. Don't wait for more strength. Decide and strength will come. Don't wait for more time. Decide and time will arrange itself around your decision. Declare it in the depths of your being. This is who I am becoming. Let this declaration guide your training, shape your choices, direct your actions. Let it be the lens through which you view every challenge, every opportunity, every moment. For in this decision lies your power to transform. In this choice lies your ability to transcend your current limitations. In this declaration lies your path to becoming something greater than you have ever been. Remember, the warrior you admire, the master you respect, the person you wish to become, they all started with a decision. Not a hope, not a wish, not a maybe, a decision. Make yours now with the full force of your warrior's heart, and let every action that follows prove who you have chosen to become. Listen with the attention of a warrior in battle, for this truth could save your life. There is a vast difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is the domain of slaves and animals. Response is the territory of warriors and masters. Have watched countless fighters fall not to superior skill, but to their own reactions. They react to provocation with anger. They react to pressure with panic. They react to fear with flight. And in these reactions, they surrender their power to whatever stimulus appears before them. When I fought my most crucial battles, do you think I reacted to every movement of my opponent's sword? No. I responded from a place of centered awareness, from a state of unshakable presence. This is the difference between the novice and the master. The novice is pushed and pulled by circumstances. The master remains centered and chooses their response. Understand this deeply. Every time you react, you give away your power. Every time you let circumstances dictate your behavior, you surrender your warrior's sovereignty. Every time you let others' actions determine your state, you become a slave to the external world. The path of the warrior demands something higher, the cultivation of responsibility, the ability to choose your response regardless of the stimulus. This is not natural. This is not easy. This is a power that must be forged through relentless practice. Begin with the small things. When someone speaks harshly, pause before speaking. When pressure mounts, breathe before acting. When fear rises, stand still before moving. In these tiny gaps between stimulus and action, you build the muscle of responsive choice. But make no mistake, this is not about becoming passive. This is not about suppressing your power. This is about channeling it with precision, with intention, with the clarity of a master swordsman who cuts not because he is provoked, but because he has chosen the perfect moment to strike. I teach my students this. Between any stimulus and your response lies a space. In that space lives your freedom. In that space resides your power. In that space dwells your warrior's dignity. The larger you can make that space, the greater your mastery becomes. Think of the bamboo in a storm. It does not react by fighting against the wind. It does not react by trying to stand rigid and unmovable. It responds by bending, by remaining flexible yet rooted, by moving with the force yet never losing its essential nature. This is the way of the warrior. Your emotions will arise. This is natural. Anger, fear, doubt, confusion. These are not your enemies. They are merely weather, patterns passing through the sky of your consciousness. The warrior's art lies not in stopping these emotions, but in learning to respond to them rather than react from them. When anger arises, do not react by lashing out or suppressing it. Respond by observing it, understanding its message, then choosing your action with clarity. When fear appears, do not react by fleeing or freezing. Respond by acknowledging it, learning from it, then moving forward with purpose. This practice must become as natural as breathing. In battle, there is no time to think through every move. Your responsive awareness must be so well trained that it operates without conscious thought, like a sword that moves as an extension of the warrior's will. Start your training now. In every interaction, practice creating that space between stimulus and response. When someone criticizes you, pause. When success inflates you, pause. When failure threatens to crush you, pause. In that pause lies your power to choose. Remember, the greatest battles you will fight are not against external enemies, but against your own reactive patterns. The most crucial victories you will win are not over other warriors, but over your own impulsive responses. Your reactions are not you. They are merely habitual patterns carved by past experiences. Your responses, chosen with awareness and intention, are the true expression of your warrior's spirit. Every time you choose to respond rather than react, you reclaim your power and reinforce your sovereignty. This is why I spent as many hours in meditation as in sword practice. The external techniques are useless without the internal mastery. The ability to cut through an opponent's defense means nothing if you cannot cut through your own reactive patterns. Make this your moment-to-moment practice. Notice when you are about to react. Create space. Choose your response. Act with intention rather than impulse. Move with purpose rather than program. Strike from clarity rather than chaos. For in this practice lies the difference between the warrior and the slave, between the master and the novice, between one who is ruled by circumstances and one who rules themselves regardless of circumstances. Your power lies not in your ability to react faster, but in your capacity to respond wisely. Not in how quickly you can move, but in how centered you can remain while moving. Not in what you can do to others, but in what you can choose to do from your own unshakable center. Stop reacting to life like a leaf in the wind. Start responding to it like a warrior in battle, present, centered, and sovereign in your choices. Listen with the intensity of one who has glimpsed their own mortality, for this truth is written in blood. Your training is not a hobby. It is not a pastime. It is not something you do when convenient. Your training is the difference between life and death, if not of your body, then certainly of your spirit. I have watched countless warriors treat their training as optional, as something to be done when they feel motivated, when conditions are perfect, when life doesn't interfere. They train as though life will wait for them to be ready. But life strikes like an opponent who doesn't care about your preparation. It attacks whether you are ready or not. When I trained in my youth, do you think I treated it as a casual pursuit? No. Every session was approached as though my life hung in the balance. Every practice was executed as though real blades were swinging for my neck. Every moment of training was treated as sacred, because I understood what you must now grasp. It is your training, whether it is of body, mind, or spirit, is not separate from your life. It is your life. It is the forge in which you hammer your potential into power, your possibilities into certainties, your intentions into realities. But understand this: training like your life depends on it does not mean training with desperate intensity. It means training with absolute presence. It means approaching each session, whether you feel strong or weak, motivated or resistant, with the total commitment of a warrior who knows that every moment of practice is precious beyond measure. When I developed my two-sword technique, each practice session was treated as though I would need this skill before the sun set. Each movement was refined as though my next battle depended on its perfection. Each moment of training was approached with the urgency of one who knows that time is not guaranteed. This is where most fail. They train when convenient. They practice when inspired. They work on themselves when life doesn't demand something else. And in doing so, they tell themselves the greatest lie: that there will always be time later, that tomorrow will provide a better opportunity, that someday will bring perfect conditions. Your training must become like breathing, not optional, not negotiable, not dependent on conditions. You don't decide each morning whether to breathe. You don't wait for perfect conditions to take your next breath. You don't negotiate with yourself about when and how much to breathe. Begin today. Approach your next training session, whether it's physical exercise, meditation, skill development, or spiritual practice, as though your life depends on it. Because it does, not in the dramatic sense of immediate survival, but in the deeper sense of who you are becoming. Every session you skip is not just a missed opportunity, it is a choice for weakness over strength, for stagnation over growth, for mediocrity over excellence. Every practice you postpone is not just a delay, it is a declaration that your development is not truly essential. But remember, training like your life depends on it is not about grinding yourself into exhaustion. It's not about pushing until you break. It's about bringing total presence, complete commitment, and unwavering respect to each moment of practice. When you train your body, train as though your future battles depend on your preparation, because they do. When you train your mind, train as though your future decisions depend on your clarity, because they do. When you train your spirit, train as though your future strength depends on your development, because it does. Make your training sacred. Not in the religious sense, but in the warrior's sense, as something inviolable, something protected, something that takes precedence over the trivial demands that constantly try to steal your time and energy. Your training ground is your dojo, whether it's a gym, a quiet room, a mountain trail, or the battlefield of your daily life. Treat it with reverence. Enter it with respect. Approach your practice with the knowledge that each session is a gift that cannot be taken for granted. For in this approach to training lies the difference between the warrior and the dabbler, between the master and the amateur, between one who hopes to become something greater and one who ensures it through daily practice. Remember, the warrior you wish to become, the master you hope to be, the person you are meant to be. They are forged in the sacred fires of training that cannot be postponed, cannot be negotiated, cannot be treated as anything less than essential to your existence. Train like your life depends on it, because it does, not in the future, not someday, now, in this moment, in this practice, in this sacred opportunity to forge yourself into something greater than you have ever been. Listen with the depth of one who seeks true understanding, for this truth will transform how you view every hardship. Suffering is not something that happens to you. It is a skill you must master, like swordsmanship, like strategy, like any martial art. The ability to suffer well is a skill that separates warriors from victims. I have watched countless people break under the weight of suffering, not because their burden was too heavy, but because they never learned how to carry it. They treat suffering as their enemy, as something to be avoided at all costs, as a sign that something has gone wrong. But I tell you this, suffering is not your enemy. It is your teacher, and you must learn its language. When I fought my first battles, do you think I didn't suffer? When I trained until my hands bled, when I faced opponents who seemed unbeatable, when I walked paths that seemed impossible, do you think I didn't feel pain? Of course I did. But I understood something that you must now grasp. It's not the presence of suffering that determines your path. It's your relationship with it. Think of the blade being forged. Does it not suffer under the hammer? Does it not endure the heat of the forge? Does it not bear the grinding of the stone? Yet without this suffering, it remains merely raw metal, incapable of fulfilling its purpose. Your suffering is the forge in which your strength is created. But understand this deeply. I am not telling you to seek suffering. I am not advocating for needless pain. I am telling you to develop the skill of suffering well, of using the inevitable challenges, pains, and hardships of life as tools for your transformation rather than excuses for your surrender. This skill has levels, like any other. The novice suffers chaotically, fighting against pain, resisting what is, making their suffering worse through their rejection of it. The intermediate practitioner endures suffering, gritting their teeth, pushing through, surviving, but not transforming. The master uses suffering as a tool, understanding its purpose, extracting its lessons, allowing it to forge them into something stronger. When I developed my techniques, each failure was suffering. Each defeat was pain. Each setback was hardship. But I learned to ask not, how can I avoid this suffering, but what is this suffering trying to teach me? Not, how can I escape this pain, but how can I use this pain to become stronger? This is the warrior's approach to suffering. We do not simply endure it, we study it. We do not merely survive it, we learn from it. We do not just push through it, we allow it to push us toward greater understanding, deeper wisdom, stronger resolve. Begin your practice now. When physical pain comes, don't just endure it, study it. What is it telling you about your form, your preparation, your limits? When emotional pain arrives, don't just suffer it, examine it. What is it revealing about your attachments, your fears, your growth edges? Your suffering is not random. It is not purposeless. It is not a mistake in the universe's plan. It is a precisely calibrated instrument designed to show you exactly where you need to grow, exactly what you need to learn, exactly how you need to become stronger. But remember, the skill of suffering well does not mean becoming numb. It does not means suppressing pain or pretending hardship doesn't affect you. It means developing the capacity to remain present with your suffering, to extract its wisdom, to use its energy for your transformation. When I teach young warriors, their first instinct is always to avoid suffering, to find ways around it, to seek the easy path, but I show them this truth. The easy path leads nowhere worth going. The path of growth, the path of mastery, the path of true strength, these all involve learning to suffer well. Your capacity to suffer well will determine your capacity to grow, to achieve, to become. The higher you wish to rise, the greater your capacity for suffering must become. Not because suffering is the goal, but because transformation always involves the death of the old self, and death, even symbolic death, always involves suffering. Start with small sufferings. Learn to sit with discomfort without trying to escape it. Learn to face minor pains without seeking immediate relief. Learn to endure small hardships without complaint. In these small practices, you build the foundation for facing greater challenges, then progress to larger trials. Learn to find purpose in your pain. Learn to extract wisdom from your wounds. Learn to use resistance as a force for growth. In these larger challenges, you forge your warrior's spirit. Remember, the master is not one who never suffers. The master is one who has learned to suffer well, not one who feels no pain, but one who understands pain's purpose. Not one who avoids hardship, but one who knows how to use hardship as a tool for transformation. Your suffering is not your enemy. Your pain is not your punishment. Your hardships are not mistakes. They are the very forces designed to forge you into something stronger than you have ever been, if you develop the skill to use them well. Listen with the focus of a warrior facing their greatest battle, for this truth will revolutionize your relationship with fear. Fear is not your enemy. It is your most potent fuel. It is not a wall to stop you. It is a compass pointing directly at your next evolution. I have watched countless warriors be defeated not by their opponents, but by their own fear. They see fear as weakness, as something to be eliminated, as proof they are not ready. But I tell you this, the presence of fear is not evidence of cowardice. It is evidence that you stand on the edge of growth, at the threshold of your next transformation. When I fought my most crucial battles, do you think I felt no fear? When I faced opponents who had never been defeated, when I developed techniques that broke with all tradition, when I walked paths no one had walked before, do you think my heart didn't race? Of course it did. But I understood something that you must now grasp. Fear is not meant to be conquered. It is meant to be harnessed. Think of the horse that has never been ridden. Its fear makes it dangerous, makes it buck and kick and resist. But in the hands of a skilled horseman, that same wild energy becomes power, becomes speed, becomes strength. Your fear is that untamed horse, not something to be eliminated, but something to be harnessed. But understand this clearly. I am not telling you to be fearless. Fearlessness is the domain of fools who don't understand the stakes. I am telling you to be intimate with your fear, to study it, to use it. The warrior's way is not to become fearless. It is to become fear-skilled. When fear arises, most people do one of two things. They either run from it or they freeze in its presence. Both responses waste the enormous energy that fear provides. The warrior does something different. They turn toward their fear with curiosity, with respect, with the understanding that where fear points, growth awaits. Your fear is trying to tell you something. When you feel fear before speaking your truth, it's telling you this truth matters. When you feel fear before taking action, it's telling you this action is significant. When you feel fear before making a change, it's telling you this change is important. Begin now. The next time fear appears, don't run from it. Don't fight it. Don't try to conquer it. Instead, bow to it as a teacher. Ask it, what are you trying to show me? What growth are you pointing toward? What power are you offering me if I have the courage to walk through you? This is the art of using fear as fuel. You don't wait for the fear to disappear before you act. You act with the fear through the fear, using its energy to sharpen your focus, heighten your awareness, intensify your resolve. The presence of fear becomes not your stop sign, but your starting gun. When I teach young warriors, they often ask me how to become fearless. I tell them, that is the wrong goal. The goal is not to become fearless. The goal is to become so intimate with fear that you can use its energy instead of being used by it. To become so comfortable with being uncomfortable that fear becomes not your jailer, but your fuel. Remember this, every great achievement, every meaningful growth, every significant transformation lies on the other side of fear. Not because fear is a test to pass, but because fear is the energy we need to transcend our current limitations. Your fear is not a wall. It is a door, not a stop sign, but a starting line. Not your enemy, but your ally in the forge of transformation. The more important the growth, the more significant the change, the more meaningful the action, the more fear you will feel. This is not wrong. This is exactly as it should be. But you must learn to use this energy skillfully. Like a sword, fear's power lies not in the weapon itself, but in how skillfully you wield it. Untamed fear paralyzes. Harnessed fear energizes. Unexamined fear imprisons. Studied fear illuminates. Resisted fear exhausts. Embraced fear empowers. Start with small fears. Learn to feel their energy in your body without running from it. Learn to act in its presence without waiting for it to disappear. Learn to use its charge to sharpen your focus rather than blur it. In these small practices, you build your capacity to handle greater fears, then progress to larger fears. Learn to hear their wisdom without being deafened by their volume. Learn to feel their urgency without being rushed by their pressure. Learn to use their power without being overwhelmed by their force. In these larger challenges, you forge your warrior's heart, for in this practice lies the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who merely dream of it. Not in the absence of fear, but in their relationship with it. Not in feeling no fear, but in knowing how to use fear as fuel for transformation. Your fear is not your weakness. It is your warrior's energy waiting to be harnessed. Your fear is not your enemy. It is your ally waiting to be understood. Your fear is not your prison. It is your power waiting to be claimed. Listen with complete presence, for this truth cuts to the essence of the warrior's path. Your body is not merely a vessel. It is a mirror of your mind, a manifestation of your spirit, a physical expression of your inner state, how you carry. Yourself reveals how you carry your life. I have watched countless warriors focus solely on technique, on strength, on physical skill, while neglecting the profound truth that the body and mind are one battlefield. They train their muscles, but leave their minds weak. They hone their reflexes, but let their spirit grow dull. This is like sharpening only one edge of the sword. It creates imbalance, and imbalance leads to defeat. When I developed my style of swordsmanship, do you think I focused only on physical movement? No. I understood that every stance reflected a state of mind. Every cut expressed a quality of spirit. Every movement revealed the condition of consciousness. The body does not lie. It cannot lie. It shows with perfect clarity the truth of who you are. Look at how you stand. Are your shoulders hunched with the weight of unnamed fears? Is your spine curved with the burden of unspoken doubts? Is your head lowered in unconscious submission? Or do you stand as a warrior should, spine straight with purpose, shoulders squared with resolve, head held high with dignity? Your posture is not just about aesthetics, it is about power. How you hold yourself shapes how you hold your life. The warrior who stands with clarity moves with purpose. The warrior who breathes with intention lives with direction. The warrior who carries their body with dignity carries their life with honor. But understand this deeply. I am not speaking of mere appearances. This is not about creating an image of strength. It is about forging genuine power that expresses itself naturally through your physical form. The body cannot fake what the mind has not mastered. It cannot project what the spirit has not achieved. Begin with awareness. Notice how you carry yourself when you feel strong, when you feel weak, when you face challenge, when you taste victory. Your body speaks a language more honest than words. Learn to read it. Learn to understand what it tells you about your inner state. When fear grips you, notice how your breathing changes. When doubt visits, observe how your posture shifts. When determination fills you, feel how your body aligns itself. These are not random changes. They are the physical expression of your mental and spiritual state. Train your body not for appearance, but for battle readiness, not for show, but for substance. Every movement should express purpose. Every action should reflect clarity. Every gesture should embody dignity. This is not about becoming beautiful. It is about becoming powerful. Remember, the greatest warriors I have known were not necessarily the most physically impressive. They were the ones whose bodies expressed their unshakable spirit, whose movements revealed their unwavering resolve, whose presence communicated their absolute clarity of purpose. Your training must integrate body, mind, and spirit. When you train your body, train your mind to be present in every movement. When you strengthen your muscles, strengthen your resolve. When you practice your techniques, practice your focus. Let every physical action be an expression of warrior consciousness. Start with your breath. It is the bridge between body and mind. Notice how shallow breathing reflects scattered thoughts, how deep breathing creates centered awareness. Make each breath a practice in presence, each movement a meditation in purpose, each action an expression of warrior spirit. Your body is your primary weapon, your first territory, your immediate battleground. How you care for it, how you carry it, how you use it, these are not separate from your path as a warrior. They are essential expressions of it. A weak body cannot sustain a strong spirit for long. A neglected body cannot fully express a powerful mind. But remember, physical training alone is not enough. Mere exercise is not the way. Each movement must be imbued with purpose, each action aligned with intention, each practice infused with warrior spirit. This is how the body becomes not just strong, but powerful, not just fit, but formidable. The way you move through space tells the world who you are. The way you carry yourself reveals what you carry within. The way you inhabit your body shows how you inhabit your life. Let every step be a statement of purpose, every gesture an expression of dignity, every movement a demonstration of clarity. Practice this integration in everything you do. When you walk, walk with purpose. When you stand, stand with presence. When you sit, sit with dignity. Let your physical form become a perfect expression of your warrior spirit, not through tension or rigidity, but through the natural alignment of body, mind, and purpose. For in this integration lies the difference between mere physical prowess and true warrior presence, not in the size of your muscles, but in how perfectly your body expresses your spirit, not in the impression you make, but in the power you embody, not in how you look, but in how completely your physical form reflects your warrior's heart. Your body is not separate from your path. It is the visible manifestation of it. Train it accordingly. Carry it accordingly. Use it accordingly. For in this alignment of physical form with warrior spirit, you become not just strong, but unshakable. Not just skilled, but unstoppable. Listen with the awareness of one who stands at a crucial crossroads. For this truth is both severe and liberating. You cannot become who you must be while clinging to who you have been. The warrior's path demands not just growth, but transformation, and transformation requires death of the old self. I have watched countless warriors fail, not because they lacked potential, but because they could not release their grip on who they were. They cling to old identities like a swimmer clings to familiar shores, never discovering the power that awaits in deeper waters. They hold on to past versions of themselves, like a swordmaster clutching a wooden training sword, never graduating to real steel. When I began my journey, do you think I could have become who I am while remaining who I was? When I developed my two-sword technique, do you think I could have created something new while clinging to old ways? No. Each evolution required me to die to my previous self, to release my grip on what was familiar, to step into the unknown of who I might become. Understand this deeply. Your past self is not your enemy. It served its purpose. It brought you to this point, but now it must be honored, thanked, and released. Like a snake that cannot grow without shedding its skin, you cannot evolve while holding on to who you were. This is where most warriors falter. They try to add new skills without releasing old limitations. They attempt to gain new strength without releasing old weaknesses. They seek to become something more while refusing to become something different. This is like trying to fill a cup that's already full. It cannot be done. The process of transformation is not gentle. It is not comfortable. It is not smooth. It is a death and a rebirth. The butterfly does not gently emerge from the caterpillar. It dissolves completely in the chrysalis before reforming into something new. This is the model of true transformation. Begin now. Look at your life with warrior's clarity. What old identities are you clinging to? What past versions of yourself are you trying to preserve? What familiar limitations have become comfortable? Prisons? These are not just questions. They are your battleground. Your past achievements, no matter how impressive, must not become anchors that hold you in place. Your past wounds, no matter how deep, must not become excuses that keep you from growth. Your past identity, no matter how comfortable, must not become a cage that prevents your evolution. But remember, letting go of who you were does not mean rejecting or denying your past. It means understanding that who you were is not who you are becoming. It means having the courage to release your grip on the familiar shore and swim into unknown waters. When I teach young warriors, they often try to become something new while remaining something old. They want to add power without releasing weakness, gain wisdom without releasing ignorance, find strength without releasing fear. I tell them, you cannot pour new wine into a full cup. You must empty yourself to be filled with something greater. This, letting go, must be total. You cannot partially release an identity like you cannot partially let go of a cliff's edge. You must release completely, trusting that what you become will be greater than what you leave behind. Start with small releases. Let go of old habits that no longer serve you. Release beliefs that limit your growth. Abandon practices that keep you tethered to past versions of yourself. In these small deaths, you practice the art of transformation. Then, move to larger releases. Let go of identities that have become comfortable but constraining. Release relationships that hold you in old patterns. Abandon positions that give you status but prevent your growth. In these larger deaths, you forge your warrior's spirit. This is not about erasing your past. It is about preventing your past from determining your future. It is not about forgetting who you were. It is about refusing to let who you were limit who you can become. It is not about rejecting your history. It is about claiming your power to write your next chapter. Your past self brought you here. Honor it. Your past experiences taught you much. Appreciate them. Your past identity served its purpose. Thank it. Then release your grip on all of it, completely and without reservation. For only in this release can you find the freedom to become what you must be. Remember, the warrior's path is not a path of addition. It is a path of transformation, not a gathering of more, but a becoming of different. Not an accumulation of identity, but a succession of deaths and rebirths into greater versions of yourself. Who you were has served its purpose. Thank it, honor it, and let it die. For in that death lies the seed of who you are becoming, someone stronger, clearer, and more powerful than any past version of yourself could contain. Listen with the stillness of a blade perfectly poised to strike, for this truth contains power that most warriors never grasp. True strength is not found in motion, but in absolute stillness, not in the chaos of activity, but in the depths of silence, not in the rush of doing, but in the mastery of being. I have watched countless warriors exhaust themselves with constant motion, endless activity, perpetual doing. They mistake movement for progress, action for growth, busyness for advancement. But I tell you this, the deepest power lies not in how much you can do, but in how completely you can be still. When I faced my greatest opponents, do you think it was frantic activity that brought victory? When I developed my deepest insights, do you think it was endless motion that revealed truth? No. It was in moments of perfect stillness that the greatest power emerged, that the clearest wisdom appeared, that the truest strength was found. Think of the ocean. Its surface may be chaos, waves crashing, foam spraying, constant motion, but its power lies in its depths, where stillness reigns, where silence dwells, where movement ceases. Your power must be like this, turbulent perhaps on the surface, but anchored in depths of absolute stillness. But understand this clearly. The stillness I speak of is not the stillness of laziness, not the stillness of avoidance, not the stillness of death. It is the stillness of perfect readiness, like a sword perfectly balanced, like an arrow fully drawn, like a tiger about to spring. It is the stillness that contains all motion within it. Most fear stillness. They run from silence. They avoid solitude. They fill every moment with noise, every second with activity, every space with distraction. And in doing so, they never touch the deep power that stillness alone can reveal. Begin now. Find moments of absolute stillness in your day, not the partial stillness of relaxation, but the complete stillness of total presence. Let your body become motionless. Let your mind become quiet. Let your spirit become still. In this stillness, true power begins to reveal itself. Your breath is your first teacher of stillness. Notice how it moves without your effort, flows without your control, continues without your attention. Let your awareness rest in this natural rhythm. Let your consciousness settle into this eternal dance of inhalation and exhalation. But remember, this is not mere relaxation. This is warrior's stillness, alert, aware, ready. Like a pond so still it reflects the sky perfectly, like a blade so motionless it disappears in plain sight, like a mind so quiet it can hear the whisper of truth beneath the shouts of distraction. When I train warriors, their first instinct is always movement, more techniques, more practices, more activities. I teach them first to be still. For how can you master movement if you cannot master stillness? How can you control action if you cannot control inaction? How can you direct power if you cannot contain it? The stillness I speak of must penetrate every level of your being. Physical stillness, where your body learns to be perfectly motionless, yet completely ready. Mental stillness, where your thoughts settle into clarity rather than chaos. Spiritual stillness, where your very essence rests in its own power, rather than seeking it elsewhere. Start with small moments of stillness. 1 minute of perfect physical stillness, 1 breath of complete mental quiet, 1 instant of total spiritual presence. In these small practices, you begin to touch the power that stillness contains. Then expand these moments. 5 minutes of unbroken physical stillness, 5 breaths of undisturbed mental quiet, 5 moments of unwavering spiritual presence. In these longer practices, you forge your capacity to contain power rather than merely express it. Your stillness must become like the eye of a storm. While everything around you spins in chaos, you remain perfectly centered, absolutely clear, totally present. This is not an escape from life's intensity. It is the capacity to hold that intensity in perfect balance. Practice stillness in motion. When you walk, can you maintain inner stillness? When you speak, can you retain silent awareness? When you act, Can you preserve motionless clarity? This is the integration that makes a warrior truly powerful, not just still in stillness, but still in action. For in this stillness lies the difference between force and power, between effort and effectiveness, between motion and achievement. Not in how much you can do, but in how completely you can be still while doing. Not in how fast you can move, but in how centered you can remain while moving. Remember, the greatest power does not announce itself with noise. The deepest strength does not display itself in motion. The truest mastery does not prove itself through activity. They are found in stillness, emerged from silence, born of perfect poise. Your path to power lies not in doing more, but in being more still. Not in moving faster, but in becoming more centered. Not in increasing activity, but in deepening presence. For in this stillness, you tap into a power that action alone can never reach. Listen with the heart of a warrior who understands that each dawn brings a new battle. For this final truth contains the essence of the warrior's path. The war is never over. The journey never ends. The path of mastery is not a destination to be reached, but a way of moving through life with relentless, unwavering resolve. I have watched countless warriors falter, not in their moments of weakness, but in their moments of victory. They achieve some goal, master some skill, reach some height, and then they stop. They think they have arrived. They believe they have finished. This is the greatest defeat of all, the defeat of believing there is an end to growth. When I won my first duel, do you think I stopped training? When I developed my techniques, do you think I ceased refining them? When I achieved mastery, do you think I ended my practice? No. Each achievement was not a conclusion, but a beginning. Each victory, not an end, but a new starting line. Each mastery, not a completion, but an opening to greater possibilities. Understand this deeply. The warrior's path is not a path to somewhere. It is a way of moving through life. It is not about reaching a final destination where all battles are won, all skills are mastered, all growth is complete. It is about rising each day with the same unwavering commitment to go further, dig deeper, reach higher. This is where most warriors fail. They train for a goal rather than training for life. They practice for an event rather than practicing for existence. They prepare for a battle rather than preparing for an endless war. And when the goal is reached, the event is over. The battle is won. They lose their way. Your commitment must be to the path itself, not to any destination upon it. Your dedication must be to the practice itself, not to any achievement it brings. Your loyalty must be to the journey itself, not to any particular point along it. Begin each day as if you know nothing. Rise each morning as if you have everything to learn. Start each practice as if you are just beginning. This is not denial of your growth. It is the attitude that makes endless growth possible. Remember, the sun does not rise with less brilliance because it rose yesterday. The ocean does not surge with less power because it has surged 1,000,000 times before. The wind does not blow with less force because it has blown since time began. Nature knows no entropy in its essential powers, and neither should you. When I teach warriors, their first question is often, "When will I be finished?" And I tell them, "You will be finished when the sun grows tired of rising, when the ocean grows weary of surging, when the wind grows exhausted from blowing." In other words, never. This is not a burden. It is a liberation. Your daily practice must become like breathing, not something you do sometimes, not something you do when convenient, not something you do until you get good at it. You don't stop breathing because you breathed well yesterday. You don't take a break from breathing because you've mastered it. Rise each day with this warrior's awareness that yesterday's victory means nothing today, that last week's breakthrough must be earned again, that last year's mastery must be proved anew, that every morning is a fresh battle, that every day is a new beginning, that every moment is another chance to rise. This relentless rising is not about grinding yourself down. It is not about punishing yourself with endless effort. It is about maintaining the warrior's awareness that life itself is a continuous unfolding, a constant becoming, an eternal rising. Let each setback become fuel for rising higher. Let each failure become reason for rising stronger. Let each obstacle become cause for rising more determined than before. This is not mere resilience. It is the warrior's way of transforming everything that happens into energy for growth. Your path must become like the bamboo, growing upward ceaselessly, relentlessly, day after day, year after year. Not because it seeks to reach some height, but because rising is its nature, not because it competes with others, but because growing is its essence. Remember, the warrior's greatest battle is not against any external enemy. It is the internal. Battle to rise each day with the same commitment, the same fire, the same resolve as the first day. To approach each practice with the same dedication, each challenge with the same determination, each moment with the same presence. This is your path to rise relentlessly, every day, whether you feel like it or not, whether circumstances support you or not, whether others understand or not. This rising is not dependent on conditions. It is your way of being in the world. For in this relentless rising lies the difference between those who taste momentary victory and those who embody perpetual growth. Not in how high you have climbed, but in how persistently you continue climbing. Not in what you have achieved, but in how relentlessly you keep advancing. Rise now. Rise again, rise always. For this is the warrior's way, not a path to somewhere, but a way of moving through life, with unshakable resolve, unwavering commitment, and the relentless determination to rise every single day, no matter what.